We're keeping a close watch of the tropics because that disturbance in the Caribbean is being now given a very high % likelihood of developing either by tomorrow or maybe into Monday. Point is, we're going to be watching likely a tropical depression or storm moving into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Right now, the convection is kind of weakening. You see a big flare. Basically, what's been happening for the last couple of days, really more since yesterday, is we've seen this kind of fluctuate. You see a big flare up of convection, then it kind of falls apart again. Then it flares up and then it falls apart again. There is kind of a broad, but what appears to be a tightening circulation just north of, well, I should say just to the east of the Yucatan and Belize. So right in about here, basically in the northwestern Caribbean. This is being designated as Invest 91, and computer models. Again, we're going to see changes in the models over the next day or so because, again, we don't really have an organized system, but the trend is through at least the next probably 24 hours, this is going to drift slowly toward the north. It'll be interesting because if it moves anywhere over the Yucatan, that influence of a landmass is going to disrupt any kind of circulation, but if it stays over the water and comes into the Yucatan Channel, we're going to see probably some steady strengthening. Model consensus right now is that feature would stay to our east, so folks along the Florida Panhandle would have to watch this one maybe a little bit closer, but really all of the northern Gulf Coast is going to have to watch this one very, very carefully. Here's what's happening right now. We actually have a bit of wind shear sitting over the system, and you don't really see that concentrated area of moisture, at least at the moment. We also have very, very dry air across the Gulf of Mexico, and you kind of see this little swirl right here, kind of a little upper low. So at the moment, the Gulf and even parts of the Caribbean are still a relatively hostile environment. It's forecasted to get a little bit more conducive for development, so we'll have to watch for that. So here's what we know right now. Models with no organization, projections are going to continue to change. However, they still indicate, as I just showed you from our spaghetti plot, staying to the east of southeast Louisiana. Impacts: if the storm remains to our east, we're going to see higher tides and likely minimal rainfall. These late season storms are usually a little bit more lopsided. They're more asymmetrical, where most of the heavy rainfall is more to the east, so the western side is very, very dry. Also, both of the global models, the GFS and the Euro, are indicating we're going to see a cold front move through the area by Wednesday or Thursday. This would also keep the system to our east. Intensity of this, well, that's still a very big unknown. As we know, models handle that very, very poorly. Timing-wise, we're likely going to see the winds pick up here by Monday with a landfall potential either Wednesday or into Thursday. What's going to help us out, remember that big ridge that had been keeping us rather dry and on the warmer side? That is shifting off to the east. That is likely going to pick up this system and bring it toward the northern Gulf Coast. If that ridge moves enough, it's going to move it more toward our east and maybe the Florida Panhandle. Again, there's still a lot of uncertainty, but at least at the moment, you kind of like the model trend.